Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Engineering Statics lecture video. I hope you guys are all doing well and are ready to learn, so let's get started. So at this point right now we have a resultant moment and a resultant force. But the professors can ask you, where can we move that resultant force such that it creates our resultant moment? So that's the key here. We can take our resultant force and move it so that it creates our moment. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're going to move our resultant force so that it creates our resultant moment. This will allow us to take our system from a force vector and a moment vector to simply just a force vector. Now I got more pictures to show you guys what exactly is going on, so don't be too scared. So let's say we have our 3D vector space, and from the last slide we figured out what our resultant force and our resultant moment is. Now the next part of the question would say something like, move the resultant force such that it creates our resultant moment. So we're taking this situation and we're converting it to this situation, where again I moved my resultant force so that it creates our resultant moment. Now the question becomes well, what exactly are we solving for? Remember, at this point we know what the moment is, we know what the force is. The thing that we actually don't know is what is the coordinate point of this force. Where exactly do we move this force to? Well, the process is actually going to be fairly simple. It's basically cross product, but in reverse. So in this case, again, we know what our force is, we know what our moment, we want to solve for that unknown coordinate point. Well, of course, we know that we do the cross product. If we have a force and a moment, and we're looking for a coordinate point, it's going to look something like this, where we know that if we want to find the moment a force creates, we're going to take a position vector, cross it with that force vector to get that moment vector. Now in this case, again, we know Fr, we know Mr, it's actually the position vector that becomes unknown. So if we look at that position vector more closely, we know that a position vector is simply going to be the coordinate points of where we end up minus our initial coordinate points. So if we look at the coordinate points here, and we are going from the origin over to point C, well, our actual only unknown is going to be that coordinate point that we want to solve for. That point RO, we actually already know that one. So this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to solve for that coordinate point RC. The question becomes is how exactly do we rearrange the cross product to figure this out? Well, actually we don't. So that's kind of the hard thing about the cross product, is it's not as simple as taking something and dividing it, rearranging. We actually have to use more complex mathematics. The nice thing is, though, is when I do this, I simply don't try and reverse anything. What I do is I just carry out the cross product with unknown variables. Now you guys say, Clayton, what does that mean? Well, let's show you guys through an example. So let's say from the previous slide, I find my resultant force to be 14I minus 5J plus 20K, and I find my resultant moment to be minus 10I minus 40J minus 3K. Again, this just came from the last slide where I took all of the separate forces, added them together. I took all the separate moments and added them together. Now the question becomes is where can I move this force such that it creates this moment? So let's say in the question they say, all right, you got RB minus RA, and let's say that our unknown coordinate point has to be in the XY plane. All right, so we know that if our coordinate point is in the XY plane, it's going to have an X component, a Y component, and the Z component is actually going to be 0. So if we look here, we actually have two unknowns, X and Y. Now, if I were to carry out this position vector formula, I'm going to take the coordinate point of the unknown, which is X, Y, and 0, and I'm going to subtract it from where I started. In this case, I'm starting from the origin, so it'd be minus 0, 0, 0. So I actually get my position vector to be Xi plus Yj plus 0k. So notice how I'm carrying out the problem like I already have the initial variables. The only thing is that in my position vector here, I actually have two unknowns, but I'm just going to leave them as unknowns from now. So now I'm going to move on to my cross product. Again, I know that the moment created is going to be my position vector cross with my force vector. So I'm going to carry out the cross product as normal, and where I have my position vector components, I actually substitute the variables in. So instead of saying 1, 2, and 3, something like that, I have X, Y, and 0, where X and Y are still unknowns. From here, I'm going to do whatever method I want to figure out what this cross product is equal to. You guys know I use the fish method. You guys can use whatever method suits you. And I can find that my cross product gives me the following vector: 20y in the I direction minus 20x in the j direction plus negative 5x minus 14y in the k direction. So the question becomes, all right, I did this, but I still have my unknowns. But remember that this resultant vector that we just got from the cross product, this actually has to be equal to our moment vector. So we know that that I component, that 20y, that actually has to be equal to negative 10. We know that that j component, negative 20x, that has to be equal to negative 40. And finally, that negative 5x minus 14y, that has to be equal to the negative 3. So from here, we have basically three little equations. We have 20y is equal to negative 10, negative 20x is equal to negative 40, and then we got that final one for the k components. Luckily for us, if we look at the I and the j component, we can very quickly solve that the x must be equal to 2 and y must be equal to negative 0.5. So it's actually not too bad at all. Now you guys may be saying, all right, Clayton, it was only easy because we knew it was in the xy plane. We had two unknowns and seemingly three equations. Well, what happens if they give you something like x, y, and z as unknowns? Then this gets really messy really quick. But I'm going to tell you guys a secret. They will never give you three unknowns. And the reason why is because with three unknowns, there's infinite solutions. Remember, when we're taking a position vector to determine a moment, we can go to any point along the line of action of the force. And if we can go to any point, there's theoretically infinite points, therefore infinite solutions if they made it in terms of x, y, and z. So what professors will always do is they make it look like they're being nice, but they're actually making it so that it's possible to solve. And they'll say, this point has to be, let's say, in the xy plane, the yz plane, something like that. So there's actually only two unknowns. And since there's two unknowns, it makes our lives a lot easier when trying to solve it. Again, they can't do x, y, z because there's infinite solutions, because there's infinite points along the line of action of our force. So yep, that's it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.